Okay, today I'm changing the brake pads on a 2006 Scion TC. First thing you're going to want to do is take off the wheels by removing the lug nuts. Go ahead and lift the wheel up and out and set it aside. Now we're going to take off the brake caliper by removing these two bolts here. They're on there pretty snug, so you're going to want to tap a wrench or even use a breaker bar if necessary. Okay, once those two bolts are cracked open, go ahead and unthread them by hand. And then you can lift the caliper up and out of the way. Do not let this hang by the brake hose. You can use the wire hanger to hang it from the spring above. Make sure it's on there nice and snug and not going to fall off. And at this point you can pull the brake pads, they just pull right out. And then these two guides here, they pull out as well. Might take a little wiggling to get done, but they should come free without any tools. Same for the top one. And now you're going to need to remove the mounting bracket. It's held on by these two bolts here. They're on there pretty snug, so you're going to need a lot of force to get them off. And this will allow you to remove the brake rotor. You can see this one's pretty warped. It's got some grooves in it. So I can actually take this to the shop and have it machined. Now working on the brake caliper, go ahead and slide a hose onto the bleeder valve and attach a wrench as well. Here I'm just using a old water bottle to catch the old brake fluid. I use hose pinchers to pinch off the lines just so I won't get any air in the lines and I won't accidentally push any old fluid back up into the lines. So just go ahead and thread that on by hand. It's a little wing nut. Okay, here I'm using the old brake pad on the top, and I have a C-clamp here to compress the piston back into its bore. Open up the bleeder valve and just start turning the C-clamp. You're going to want to turn this all the way until the piston is flush. And as you can see, I'm turning the C-clamp here, and it's also squirting out any of the old fluid. And almost there. Once it's done, go ahead and close the bleeder valve and then remove the hose and the wrench. Then you can remove the C-clamp and the old brake pad. And take this out. As you can see, the piston is flush and all the way back into its bore, ready for the new brake pads. And here's the old fluid that was pushed out of the system. As you can see, it's a little bit dark. Okay, now you're going to want to clean all the parts. Here I'm just using some brake cleaner. Go ahead and spray it on there pretty liberally. This stuff evaporates pretty fast, so you want to get it nice and wet. Then just go ahead and take a wire brush and brush out all the gunk. And once that's good, go ahead and wipe it down with a shop rag. And there it is, nice and clean, ready for the new brake pads. Okay, here's the mounting bracket. You're going to want to remove the pins. As you can see, the grease is pretty old. I haven't done this in about 2 or 3 years even. So go in and wipe off all that old grease and get them nice and clean. And there it is, nice and clean. Ready for some new lube. Here's the lube I'll be using. This one, Ultra Disc Brake Caliper Lube. I actually use this for the pins. And then this one I use for the back of the pads. And then any other surfaces that need any lubrication. Okay, go ahead and smear a little bit on the back of the shim. And place it on top of the brake pad. One thing to note here, you do not want to touch the braking surface of the pad. That'll just contaminate the pads and they won't work as well. Okay, and a little bit more on the other side of the shim. You can reuse these, and once you do, you can actually see where it touches the caliper. So here I am spreading the lube on those points. Again, don't need too much, just enough to cover the surfaces. Spread it out nice and even. And again, with the brake cleaner, I'm spraying the new rotors. These rotors are actually used, but I had them machined, so they're nice and smooth. Go ahead and wipe that down really well. And I'm actually using new gloves without any oil, just so I won't contaminate the rotors. And on top of that, just as an extra precaution, I am only holding the rotor on the center and not touching the actual braking surface. Okay, once that's done, go ahead and put the rotor on the hub. And install the mounting bracket. And go ahead and install the slides. Again, these are tool free, they just pop right into place. And I've actually pre-lubed them. And install the brake pads. Again, do not touch the rotor or the braking surface of the pads. And once that's done, you can put on the caliper. It should slide on nice and easy since you already pushed the piston back into its bore. Go ahead and put the 2 bolts in, thread everything on by hand, and then I use a torque wrench just to get everything tight into spec. So getting this threaded on. And now the torque wrench. Make sure to torque all 4 bolts. Okay, once everything's all torqued up, go ahead and pump the brake pedal. You want to do this slowly just to reseat the caliper onto the pads. Once you do this, you are going to displace a little bit of the brake fluid, so just make sure to top that off back to the maximum level indicated on the reservoir. And close it up. After reinstalling the wheels and lowering the vehicle, make sure to check for any brake fluid leaks, and the brake pedal should operate as normal. Once everything is safe, take the car out and bed in the brake pads to the new rotor surface. Make 8 to 10 near stops from 60 miles per hour to about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Do it hard by pressing the brakes firmly, but do not lock the wheels or engage ABS. Do not come to a complete stop until the rotors have had a chance to cool down.